الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على عبد الله ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Again, we resume with praise of Allah and by sending peace and blessings and salutations upon the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and upon his family and his companions. We're discussing Samah and Tasamuh. And as we said, Samah is the original quality or characteristic, and Tasamuh refers to this being reciprocal. So I have that characteristic towards you, and you have that characteristic towards me. We came to the topic of the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and how it encourages Samah and Tasamuh, being gentle and easygoing and lenient and tolerant with other people. So we come to the hadith of Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu أنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ألا أخبركم بمن يحرم على النار أو بمن تحرم عليه النار على كل قريب هين سهل. Abdullah bin Mas'ud narrated that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Shall I not inform you of the one who is forbidden from the hellfire, or the one that the hellfire is forbidden for him?" The one that is forbidden from the hellfire, or the one that the hellfire is forbidden for him. The summary of that is, this person is a person who will not go to the hellfire. The person who is every qareeb, hayyin, sahl. Everyone who is qareeb. Qareeb means near. But here I think the best translation of the word qareeb in the hadith is accessible. Someone who is accessible. They are qareeb, they're near to people. They're not somebody who is far away and difficult to get hold of and reach, and never, always absent, and never there when you need them. Someone who is qareeb is somebody who is near. And the meaning of near here is that they are accessible, that they are there for you when you need them, that they are somebody who is around you and they mix with you and they sort of integrate with you. As long as that is in obedience to Allah Azza wa Jalla. So we don't mean that the person who is qareeb, he's nearby to you, but he's nearby to you in disobedience to Allah. So there is like a wedding and there's all kinds of haram going on and he's there and that's not the meaning of it. The meaning is the person who is accessible and near and easy to reach in that which is halal. In that which is halal. And the person who is sahl, they are easy going. So the person who is accessible and the person who is sahl, they are easy going. Meaning that they are samh al-qada, samh al-iqtada, or iqtida. They are samh al-qada, meaning they have samah, musamaha, and tasamuh, the topic that we're talking about today. They have this in the way that they interact with the people, in everything, the way they interact with the people. There's somebody who is sahl. And that's because when we looked at the Arabic definition of samah and tasamuh, we said that it means to be sahl and it means tasahul, to be easygoing with people. So the person who is easygoing with others, they're just easygoing. Whenever they deal with people, they're an easy person to deal with. And the person who is hayyin, the person who is hayyin is gentle and easy. So it's clear that this hadith refers to this attribute and this characteristic of Samah and Tasamuh, the person that is easygoing and gentle with other people. And the reward for this is huge, it's immense. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Shall I not inform you of the one that the hellfire is haram for them, or they are haram for it?" The one who is accessible and the one who is easy going and the one who is gentle. This hadith is narrated by At-Tirmidhi and others, and the hadith is sahih. Our next hadith that we have is a hadith that is narrated by Abu Dawud and Tirmidhi and Ahmad and others. And it is a hadith from the noble companion Abi Musa al-Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Inna Allah khalaqa Adam min qabdatin qabadaha min jami' al-ard." Allah created Adam from a handful of the dirt that came from all over the earth, a handful of the turab, of the dust, the earth that came from all over the earth. فَجَاءَ بَنُو آدَمْ عَلَى قَدْرِ الْأَرْضِ. So the children of Adam, they came according to the different ways that the earth is. How the earth is different, the children of Adam came like that. جاء منهم الأحمر والأبيض والأسود وبين ذلك والسهل والحزن والخبيث والطيب. So among them is Al-Ahmar. Al-Ahmar is what is to have, really you would say white skin, because really the Arabs traditionally don't say about skin color Abyad for someone who has white skin. They say Ahmar, red. They only use Abyad for someone whose skin is extremely light, without any color at all. So among them are the red color, and the white color, and the black color, and between those colors. And the reason that these different colors exist among the children of Adam is because of the way that Allah Azza wa Jal created Adam from the different parts of the earth, the different colors of the earth. And among them are the Sahl, the one who is easygoing, and the one who is strict, and the one who is Khabith, the one who is filthy, and the one who is Tayyib, the one who is good. So in the explanation of this hadith is an encouragement for two things. It's an encouragement for being easy going and gentle with other people. And there is also an encouragement to have good manners, of which a Samah and a Tasamuh is an example among them. One of the Mashaykh who explained the hadith, he said, النفس السمحة كالأرض الطيبة, that the nafs which is samah, the nafs which is gentle and easygoing and tolerant, is like the good earth. It's given an example like the good earth. Everything that is put in it becomes, it grows and flowers and becomes righteous. And then he said quite a beautiful thing. He said, it's like good land, it's like good earth. He said that when you want to travel over it, it's easy to walk on. And when you want to sow your seeds in it, it's easy to dig up. And when you want to build on it, it's easy to build on. And when you want to lie on it, it's comfortable to lie on. He's giving the example of the good earth, and he's giving the example of how that translates to a person being easygoing and lenient and tolerant with other people. Just like the good earth, whatever you want to use it for, it's easy. Likewise, the person who has a good character and is easygoing and tolerant is somebody who is easy to work with in whichever field you work with. Whether it is someone who's from your family members, a spouse, for example, whether it is a parent, whether it is a child, whether it is someone at work, whether it's whatever sphere of life you meet that person in, they are easygoing and relaxed. They're a person that's very easy to deal with, whichever way you have to deal with them. Like the good earth is easy to use, no matter what you use it for. The last hadith that we're going to take from the Sunnah is the hadith of Hudayfa radiyallahu anhu, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that Allah brought forth a servant from among his servants. Ataahu Allahu mala, Allah had given him wealth. So Allah said to him, ماذا عملت في الدنيا? What did you do in this life? He said, وَلَا يَكْتُمُونَ اللَّهَ حَدِيثًا. He didn't conceal anything from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Rabb, آتَيْتَنِي مَالًا. O my Lord, you gave me your wealth, i.e. the wealth that came to me came from you. فَكُنْتُ أُبَايِعُ النَّاسِ. I used to sell to the people, I used to trade with the people. وَكَانَ مِنْ خُلُقِي الْجَوَازِ. And from my manners was that I would let things go. I used to make it easy for the person who was finding it difficult, and I used to give time for the one who couldn't pay. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, أَنَا أَحَقُّ بِذَلِكَ مِنْكَ. I am more deserving of having this characteristic than you. تَجَاوَزُ عَنْ عَبْدِي. Forgive my servant for everything that he has done. The thing that made this person get forgiven is that he was a person who, from his sifat, from his attributes and his characteristics, was tajawuz. He used to let things go. He used to let things go in his business. He was wealthy, very rich, but he used to let things go. When someone didn't pay him, he used to let it go. When someone was a bit late, he used to let it go. When the person didn't have enough money, he used to make it easy for them. He didn't used to drive a hard bargain. And Allah Azza wa Jal said to him, I am more deserving of this attribute than you. Meaning you're not going to come on the Day of Judgment and you in the dunya used to let people go and then I'm going to take you to account. If you used to let people go in the dunya, then I am going to be more, I'm going to be towards that. Because there's no doubt that in every good characteristic, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is more perfect, infinitely more perfect than His servants. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives this person and lets go the things that they did because they used to let other people go, and they used to let other people let their, they used to overlook the things that were done to them in the dunya. And Nawawi, rahimahullah ta'ala, said about this hadith, the meaning of al-tajawuz and al-tajawuz means as-samaha fi al-iqtida wal-istifa. Means that the person used to have samaha, he used to have tasamuh, he used to be a person who was easy and lenient and gentle and tolerant when it came to getting their rights and when it came to demanding what was theirs, and accepting deficiency. They used to accept things that were not done completely correctly. This is another aspect of Tasamuh. If something isn't done quite correctly, and it's a right of yours, not a right of Allah, and it isn't quite done the way that you would have wanted it to do, you overlook it and you let it go. I'll read you a final quote on this topic by Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala. Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, وَأَمَّا السَّمَاحَةُ وَالصَّبْرُ فَخُلُقَانِ فِي النَّفْسِ. As for as-samaha, which is our topic today, and as-sabr, patience. So here Shaykh Islam is going to link together as-samaha and as-sabr. Samah being easygoing and being lenient, letting things go and being tolerant, and as-sabr being patience. They are two manners within a person's self. Allah Azza wa Jalla said, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْمَرْحَمَةِ, Surah Al-Balad, ayah number 17. They advise one another to be patient, and they advise one another to be merciful to each other. He said, وَهَذَا أَعْلَى مِنْ ذَاكَ وَهُوَ أَنْ يَكُونَ صَبَّارًا شَكُورًا. He said, and even greater than that is for a person to be extremely patient and extremely grateful. And this contains فِي سَمَاحَةٌ بِالرَّحْمَةِ لِلْإِنسَانِ. And this contains the fact that this person has this merciful nature, an easygoing nature inside of a person. وَالصَّبْرُ عَلَى الْمَكَارِهِ, and that they're patient when difficult things happen to them. And this is the opposite. وَهَذَا ضِدُّ الَّذِي خُلِقَ حَلُوعًا إِذَا مَسَّهُ الشَّرُّ جَزُوعًا وَإِذَا مَسَّهُ الْخَيْرُ مَنُوعًا. This is the opposite from the one that Allah described in the Quran. خُلِقَ حَلُوعًا. This person is hasty and rushing all the time. When something bad happens to them, they are jazua', they are like the opposite of patient. They don't have patience when something bad happens to them. And when something good happens to them, they prevent that good from reaching the people. فَإِنَّ ذَاكَ لَيْسَ فِيهِ سَمَاحَةٌ عِنْدَ النِّعْمَةِ وَلَا صَبْرٌ عِنْدَ الْمُصِيبَةِ. He said, for this person who is like this, he doesn't have samaha when good things happen to him, and he doesn't have patience when bad things happen to him. It's a really beautiful quote, because it shows us some of the opposites of as-samaha. And then one of the opposites is that the person, when something bad happens to them, they are the opposite. They are the opposite of patience. They're not sabir, they're jazi' jazua'. They have that lack of patience. They're hasty and they're quick to blame and quick to mention and to bring upon themselves these things that happen to them. And And when good happens to them, they don't give it back to the people. They're not merciful towards the people. They prevent the people from getting the good that has come to them. So that's not the case of the one who is Samah, who is easygoing and lenient with the people. And the Shaykh, he mentioned As-Samah in the ni'mah. That when a blessing happens to you, your response to that should be Samah. That you're easygoing with the people. And you're gentle. And you're a person who gives from the blessings that have been given to you. Because remember that we said one of the meanings of Samah is al-jud wal-ata, is generosity and giving. So generosity and giving when you've been given a blessing. Nor is he patient when he's been given a hardship. And that links to the ayah, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْمَرْحَمَةِ. Two things that we are required to have. We're required to have patience, and we're required to be easy and merciful and lenient and gentle with other people. Okay, so what about some of the benefits of having this characteristic? What kind of benefits does this bring, this characteristic? What does it bring to a person? First of all, it brings a person happiness, and it brings them a feeling of comfort with the life that they have. Because the person who is easygoing with others is a person who is accepting of the circumstances that they're in. So it has a link to the issue of al-qadr wal-qada. That a person who is always easygoing is also easygoing in response to the calamities and the difficulties that are decreed for that person. They take them in a way that is not light-hearted, because we don't want to be people who take the lessons of Allah in a light-hearted way. But they don't take them in a way that they call upon themselves destruction and that they don't see any way out. They're a person who's easy-going with the things that happen to them, just like they're easy-going with other people. And they're tolerant of the things that happen to them, just like they're tolerant of the things that happen to other people. So one of the benefits is that it really does give you a much, much happier and a much more comfortable perspective on your life when you're more lenient and tolerant and gentle towards other people. From the benefits of it is that it gives you al-rida bil-qada. It makes you content with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decrees for you. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decrees something to you or for you, you become content with that. Because you're a person who is content in general, a person who is generally easy to please. And so you find it easy to be content with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you or has given you. The third benefit is that it brings about people's love for you and trust in you. Because when they see you being easy and lenient and tolerant with them, they love you and they gain trust in you. So there's no doubt that this is a characteristic within the characteristics of a Muslim that bring about love for the person. And no doubt it brings about the love from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because every positive characteristic that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has spoken about in the Quran brings about the love of Allah Azza wa Jalla. But it brings about the love of people. It makes you a person who's easy to get on with. A person who's easy to get on with. And we're going to talk later about the application of Tasamuh in the life of a Muslim. And definitely, one of the things that it does is it makes your relationships easy. It makes you a person who's easy to get on with. Because you're a person who's generally easygoing, and someone who's easygoing, everybody finds it easy to get on with you. At work, at home, your relationships with people become very, very good. Because you're a person who's easy to get on with. And that doesn't mean, and when we talk about some of the negatives about Tasamuh and things that people don't understand properly, that doesn't mean that you are a person who compromises. Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَدُّوا لَوْ تُدْهِنُوا فَيُدْهِنُونَ. They want you to compromise so that they will compromise with you. It doesn't mean that you compromise on what your values or you compromise on what matters to you, but you're a person who's easy to get on with. From the benefits is that it leads to people behaving towards you in the same way, especially in the mu'amalat al-madiyya, in the transactions which are like financial transactions and things like that. When you're easygoing with people, they're easygoing with you. And you find it that you get the fruits, you earn the fruits of what you sowed for yourself, right? That's a principle in Islam. What you put forth for other people is how you yourself will be treated. كَمَا تَدِينُ تُدَانُ. As you treat other people, you will also be treated like that. So it brings about ease for you in terms of financial issues as well. Because when everyone has tasamuh in those issues, it becomes easy for everybody. But when some people are trying to have qahar, they're trying to sort of subjugate others and put others under their feet, then it leads to a situation where probably everybody loses out in the end. And from the benefits are not just the benefits that we talked about that are dunyawiyya, but also the benefits that are ukhrawiyya, the benefits that come in the hereafter, in terms of the mercy of Allah and His forgiveness, His tajawuz, His afu, His rahmah, all of which have been promised to the person who has the characteristics of Samah and Tasamuh within them. So let's talk about some of the examples of Tasamuh from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the hadith of Anas radiallahu anhu, he said, خدمت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم 10 سنين فما قال لي أف ولا لما صنعت ولا ألا صنعت. He said, I served the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for 10 years. Now bear in mind that when Anas served the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was a small boy. And small boys, as we know, are liable sometimes to make mistakes and to sometimes not do what they're told. Anas said, I served the Prophet ﷺ for 10 years. He never said to me, uff. Uff is the smallest sign of displeasure you can show. So it's the smallest thing you can do to show displeasure. It's similar to a tut. You know where you go, and you tut at somebody. It's the smallest sign of displeasure you can show. He never said to me, uff. Nor did he ever say to me, why haven't you done this? Nor did he ever say to me, why don't you do this? Or why didn't you do this? He never said to me, why have you done this? Or haven't you done this? Or why is it done like that? He never said any of those things. And that is an example of implementing as-samah in your character. Implementing gentleness and easygoing, being lenient with the people. That Anas was often asked to do things, and like we said, as a young child, you would expect that not everything that he did would be in accordance with what he was asked. But the Prophet never ever said to him, uff, like that, to show the displeasure. And never ever said to him, why did you do this and why didn't you do this? And we see examples in our life today where the total opposite is true. We send our children for something insignificant. We send them to the grocery store downstairs to buy milk. And they buy the wrong brand of milk. And we make for them adab, punishment, you know, like, why did you buy this? This is too much, but this is more. I told you to buy this. SubhanAllah. It wasn't from the rights of Allah. It didn't make any difference in the sight of Allah if they bought this or they bought that one. Or they bought full fat or half fat or whatever else it was. It didn't make, the only person that got harmed is you. But subhanAllah, look at the example of the Prophet ﷺ. He didn't used to say, even tut. He didn't used to say, why did you do this or why didn't you do this? Well, the most you can say is, inshallah, next time, try to bring the other one. Problem. Be easy going with people. So that when it comes to the rights of Allah, then you can be a little bit strict with your children. You know, they miss their prayer, you can be a little bit strict with them. But if you're strict with them over everything, you're strict with them over whether they brought you the wrong brand of milk from the shop, subhanAllah, how are then you going to bring strictness in when it comes to the rights of Allah? You're not going to be able to do that. From the examples of Samah in fulfilling the needs of the people is the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Man naffasa an mu'minin kurbatan min kurab ad-dunya, naffasa Allahu anhu kurbatan min kurab yawm al-qiyamah. Wa man yassara ala muhsin yassara Allahu alayhi fi ad-dunya wal akhirah. Wa man satara musliman satara Allahu fi ad-dunya wal akhirah. Wallahu fi 'awni al-'abd ma kana al-'abdu fi 'awni akhihi." And the hadith is from Abi Hurairah radiyallahu anhu. Whoever makes a difficult situation of a believer easy for them, Allah will make one of the difficult situations on the Day of Judgment easy for them. And whoever gives a person who is struggling with debt, gives him time to pay, Allah will make it easy for him in the dunya and the akhirah. And Allah will make him wealthy in this world, and Allah will make it easy for him in the hereafter. And whoever conceals what a Muslim does, and a sin that he does, Allah will conceal the sins that he does in this world and the next. And Allah will support a person to the extent that they support their brother. This is a hadith which is a beautiful hadith about having this characteristic of being gentle and caring about the people. That you see that somebody has a need, you see someone needs something, and it doesn't have to be a financial need. It could be a financial need, it could be another need. They need some support, they need some of your time, they need someone to talk to. And you give them that time and you give them that need, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you everything you need in this world and the next. And from this is also a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, "Man talaba haqqan falyatlubhu fi afaf, wafin aw ghayra, wafin aw ghayra, aw ghayri waf, or wafin aw ghayru waf." The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, whoever seeks a right, let him seek it in a way that is, now again, it's difficult to find the right word, but a way that is befitting, a way that is, without extremes, without pushing too hard. Whether it is given to him or whether it is not given to him. Meaning that even if a right of yours is not given to you the way that it should be, you still don't let that drive you to being extremely harsh and hard-hearted. You continue to have that leniency. Even when something is not given to you that should have been given, to you. From the examples from the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, again with the example of Anas ibn Malik, radiyallahu anhu, he said the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the best of people in manners. He sent me one day for a need of his. He said, I left until I passed by some of the boys and they were playing in the market. He said, then the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam took hold of my neck from behind. He said, I turned to look at him and he was laughing. He said, Ya Unais, or an little Anas, have you gone where I told you to go? I said, yes, I'm going, O Messenger of Allah. So Anas had gone, instead of going where he was told to go, he had gone to the market and was playing with the boys. The Prophet ﷺ took hold of his neck from behind. When Anas looked, he expected to see him angry, but instead he saw him laughing. When the Prophet ﷺ used to laugh, he didn't used to make a noise, but he used to smile widely, broadly. So he smiled broadly, and he said, "O Unais," he's calling him by like a nickname, you know, like little Anas. "Oh, little Anas, did you go where I told you to go?" He said, "Yes, I'm going, O Messenger of Allah." Meaning, I didn't go, but I'm on my way to go now. This is also from the examples of the Samah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and from the examples of the Samah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a hadith which is also narrated from Anas radiallahu anhu. He said, "I was walking with the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was wearing a Najrani cloak with a thick border. When a Bedouin happened to meet him, he took hold of the side of his cloak and drew it violently. I noticed that the jerk bruised the neck of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Bedouin said, 'O Muhammad, give me out of Allah's wealth that you possess.' The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam turned to him and smiled and directed that he should be given something." As for the examples with non-Muslims, there are many, many examples that we can choose from. But from the examples that come to mind is the wasiyah of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, who was the Khalifa, the Caliph of the Muslims, when he gave the following advice with regard to the non-Muslims who were living in a Muslim land under their control. He said that they should be given what they agreed, and that their agreement with them should be continued, that the agreement should not be broken with them, and that they should be fought behind, meaning that if there is a matter where they have to be defended, they should be defended, the Muslims should defend them, and they should not be asked to do something greater than their need. And from the examples is the example of Abdullah ibn Amr radiallahu anhuma, when he sacrificed a sheep among his family. When he came, he said, "Has some of the sheep been given to our Jewish neighbor? Has some of the sheep been given to our Jewish neighbor?" And he kept on asking his family. He said, "I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, مَا زَالَ جِبْرِيلُ يُوصِينِي بِالْجَارِ حَتَّى ظَنَنْتُ أَنَّهُ سَيُورِثُ." Jibreel continued to advise me with regard to my neighbor until I thought that he would inherit me. And there are many, many examples, including in the time of Umar bin Abdul Aziz and so on, with regard to the treatment that the non-Muslims received who were living within Muslim countries, and that the ease that they were given, and the support and the help and so on that they were given, and that they were not allowed, and they would not be allowed to be oppressed, or they would not be allowed to be put into difficulty, even though they didn't share the same religion, and they had those serious flaws in the way that they believed. But still, despite that, they were given ease, things were made easy for them, and the Prophet ﷺ, even the examples that you can give from his life in Medina, and the way that he behaved towards even the munafiqeen, towards those people who were the hypocrites, those people who concealed disbelief on the inside and showed Islam on the outside. The Prophet ﷺ was extremely lenient and easygoing with them. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But there is an issue here that is worth bringing up, which is another misunderstanding people have about Tasamuh. And this issue relates to non-Muslims do towards Muslims. So the Quran has two different approaches as it relates to the non-Muslims who attack the Muslims and who cause difficulties for the Muslims. We're not talking about the non-Muslims who live peacefully and kindly with the Muslims and who treat them well. We're talking about the ones who used to cause problems for Islam and the Muslims. And in some of the ayat, Allah Azza wa Jalla tells us to have an afu towards them, to overlook what they do to us. Some of the scholars said that these ayat are abrogated, that this was only in the time of Makkah, before the Muslims were given permission to fight. And once the Muslims were given permission to fight, there is no more afu, there is no more overlooking. When those people used to attack Islam and when they used to fight the Muslims, then the Muslims fought them back. It was that simple. Others, including Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah ta'ala, they said it's not like that. They said that neither of these ayat are abrogated. In reality, each one has a particular circumstance. So when the Muslims are in a position of strength and power, and when they're in a position where they are in predominant state, in that case, they don't tolerate the sort of abuses towards Islam, like attacking Muslims, Islamophobia, and things like that. They don't tolerate it because they're in a position of strength. But when they are mustada'afun, they're in a state of weakness, and they are the minority, and they are, in a place where they're not being supported, then in that situation, they pardon and they overlook. How does this relate to Tasamuh? Some people have a misunderstanding. And their misunderstanding is that this pardoning is because of Samah and Tasamuh. That we pardon them because we are tolerant and generous. That's not the case. When someone attacks your religion and tries to harm you in your deen, we don't overlook because we are forgiving and tolerant. We overlook because the maslahah is in overlooking. The benefit is in overlooking. The overriding benefit is in overlooking. Otherwise, we don't. It's wrong to say that we overlook when someone attacks Islam or attacks the Muslims and we pardon them and forgive them, that we forgive them because we're very tolerant and forgiving and patient. It's not that case. We pardon them when there is a reason and a benefit to overlook. And we take them to account when there is a reason and a benefit to take them to account. And that's why the correct opinion is that neither of the ayat are abrogated as it relates to the way that we deal with people who attack us for our religion. Rather, it depends on the circumstances and the masalih and the mafasid, the positive and the negative outcomes. But it isn't the case like you hear in Christianity, if somebody slaps you on the face, you should show them the other cheek. Islam is not the case, that's always the case. There are situations where it doesn't make sense for you to respond back. There's no benefit for you to respond back. And there are cases where there is a benefit for you to respond back, and you have the right to be able to respond back. But it depends in the country you're living in, the system that you're within, whether that supports you or not, what rights you have, what the outcome will be, whether it's a positive or a negative outcome. But it's not the case that somebody insults you in your religion and you automatically say that I'm a person who's incredibly tolerant and generous and just slap me on the other cheek after. It's not like that. Islam is not like that. So that's another misconception people have around tolerance. This kind of pardoning and overlooking is pardoning and overlooking, like Allah Azza wa Jalla said, فَاعْفُوا وَاصْفَحُوا حَتَّى يَأْتِيَ اللَّهُ بِأَمْرِهِ. Pardon and overlook until Allah brings about His command. Meaning until Allah gives you permission to do something about it. Not pardon and overlook in every case, like is the case with Tasamuh we're talking about here. It's all the time. Every time you pardon, you forgive, you overlook. In that case, no. You forgive and you overlook until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings about His command. حَتَّى يَأْتِيَ اللَّهُ بِأَمْرِهِ. Until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings about His command. So that is another misconception that some people might have regarding at-tasamuh. Have a look how we can do this. Okay. So what we're going to do inshallah ta'ala is we're going to stop at that point for Isha. The Isha Adhan, I believe, is already on, is going right now, inshallah. So we'll take a break there, inshallah. After Salatul Isha, we're going to come back and we're going to start getting into the conclusion of these things. We need to talk still about a number of things. We still haven't spoken about Islam as a religion of Tasamuh. So we still have to talk about how Islam is a religion, which the religion itself is a religion of Tasamuh. A religion which is Samah, which is easygoing and lenient. And we're going to give examples of that, inshallah ta'ala. And then we can conclude whatever else we haven't spoken about, and maybe some of the other characteristics that we have to talk about yet. And then, inshallah ta'ala, we'll take questions from people. We also have to give some examples in terms of practical. We spoke about family, about work, about home. So still some examples to give, inshallah ta'ala. So that will come after Salatul Isha, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So we break now, we go to the masjid, inshallah, and then after everyone's finished praying and the Akthar and the Sunnah prayers, we resume again, inshallah. And Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best. Salatu wassalamu ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.